Things are getting hot in here. Things are getting hot in here. Things are getting crazy. Let's get to the breakdown. Where the hell do I even begin? So many things happened in this episode. Chinese and Irish communities were damn near ready to be at each other's throats again. Father June is suffering from a form of dementia after getting shot. Bill is now a working man. Happy Jack bites the dust. Buckley's on his way to becoming mayor. And Assam's folk hero status now has consequences. But let's take the... Oh, I need to breathe in a little bit, my God. Alright, back to the breakdown. Doug and Larry meet up with Buckley and somehow manage to convince Thayer to drop out of the race for mayor, telling Buckley that Thayer had second thoughts, and now Buckley's one step up, but I feel it's kind of lazy to just have Douglas take the W right from there and not really explain why Thayer dropped out because it did look like Larry and Douglas kind of, maybe strong-armed him or something, and we just didn't see that, and I wish it could have gone on a little bit longer. I think if there was confidence that there was going to be a season 4, they probably would have dragged out this part of the story a little bit more rather than having it be, here's your W, take it. Because I'm pretty sure we could have seen events play out in Chinatown that eventually coerces the public to be against the Chinese. And then, of course, Buckley would rise up from there. But I guess they just didn't have the confidence in a season 4 happening. And they just kind of just let it happen like that. Because Mai Ling promised Buckley chaos and even power play moves when she was in jail. And we all assumed it would help him become mayor. But, Doug just gave him the W. I'm interested to see what he does now as mayor going forward, and most importantly, how it'll affect his partnership with Mai Ling. Back with our Hopway boys, we pick up immediately right after the events from last episode, where Father June got shot. Young June and Assam bring Father June back and give him some first aid, but Young June is visibly upset at Assam for what he did last episode, and Assam knows it too. As Father June is being operated on, the Donahue Bros from a few episodes ago steal food from a Chinese business, and are eventually caught by the police. Speaking of Irishmen, our boy Bill, who is fresh off the force, starts his first day at his brother-in-law's factory, but he starts from the ground up in the hard labor. The work sucks, of course, but he's happy to be back with his wife and family. You can tell he works hard and wants a new life moving forward, but in a show like this, people don't stay away long from the conflict before eventually itching to go back to it. Another Irishman I shouldn't also forget is Leary. He gets word that the Donahue Bros are in jail from their father, and he tries to peacefully bargain with Chief Atwood, but Atwood doesn't budge at all. And if things couldn't get worse, the Donahue Bros' attempt on stealing from the Chinese gives rise for a few young Chinese men to team up and beat up a random Irishman. I like how they reversed the roles here and had the young Chinese men actually retaliate for once, and I know it's still a hate crime regardless, but the reversing of the roles bleeds in not just into the community, but into their leaders also. Here, let me explain. Of course, we all know Leary is for the Irish, and Assam is for the Chinese. In previous seasons, Leary was usually the guy busting heads and keeping his people in check. But this time, he walks over to Chinatown to make temporary peace by speaking with Assam rather than fighting. So somewhat like how Assam did in Season 2 when he walked over to the Irish area. Assam's part in this, however, resembles a little bit of Leary now. Instead of letting things go, he now has a responsibility to check his own people when they get out of line, not because he's Hop Way, but because his legendary status as the hero of Chinatown is inspiring others to take action, and not always in the smartest ways. It's crazy to see how much Assam and Leary have grown as characters ever since their encounter at the Blake factory back in Season 1, or the Season 1 finale. It's also been a few episodes since I last talked about Atoy. She's running business as usual, but one of the owners of the girls she and Lai helped save wants them back. Atoy refuses to give them back, and they retaliate, but she makes quick work of them. Across the pond somewhere, Happy Jack is happily celebrating some more for getting rid of Chow and Lee, until our dynamic duo appears to confront him, and Abigail gives him a taste of her boomstick. Chow then happily ends their partnership, and we get a cool cinematic shot of Chow, Abigail, and Lee looking down at Happy Jack's dead body. It was so cool to see these three finally stand up to Happy Jack, and it felt very earned. It felt like a big middle finger, we're taking over now kind of moment. Boy Scout Lee, of course, feels a bit guilty about the killing, still hurt from killing his cousins. But Abigail reassures him that Happy Jack was an asshole, and how her husband, who was Happy Jack's brother, was a better man who didn't get enough time on Earth before being killed by a racist cop. If Lee is like the Boy Scout and like wanting to do everything right and stuff, Abigail is his anchor and the voice of reason, and able to ground him when he's conflicted and everything. I actually hope she gets more character interactions outside of the bar now that Happy Jack is dead. Speaking of emotional anchors, Hong finally introduces Marcel, the handsome singer, to Chinatown, and everything is going well for both. Assam and Yanmi, on the other hand, are getting closer and more intimate with each other, to the point where Yanmi eventually confesses to him that she's been taking the money they printed as her personal backup plan. Assam is surprised by her confession, but he is more worried about her safety rather than the stolen money. And her safety is definitely in question, especially with the subtly tense scene where Young Jun tells her to teach the Hopway members how to print money, since Mai Ling planted that idea of using Yanmi's safety as a holdover for keeping Assam in check. I'm also starting to realize that Yanmi's character kind of resembles Nora Miao. She was a co-star with Bruce Lee in Way of the Dragon and Fist of Fury. And if you look side by side, you can see a few similarities a little bit. Mai Ling in this episode was just personally offering wedding invites to all our characters. It seems she wants to settle down finally, but I don't think she wants to lose her grip on power either, if you ask me. Then the show does the one thing I didn't expect them to do with Father Jun. He gets a form of dementia and starts hallucinating old memories to the point where he even leaves the Hop Way and finds his way to the Long Z. This saddens and even puts Young Jun on edge when a mentally ill Father Jun refused to go with his own son and felt more comforted by Li Yong. I'm not gonna lie. During Father Jun's manic episode, I was like so scared he was gonna end up killing one of our main characters. Like with that knife, just out of nowhere, he was gonna stick either Young Jun or Li Yong with it, and then that would bring a whole paradigm shift to the frickin' story. Luckily, nothing happened, and Li Yong managed to bring Father Jun back to Young Jun safely. The episode ends with Young Jun chilling with Hong, where he tells him that peace terms with Mai Ling won't last. And I'm sure he still hasn't mentally recovered from what happened 2 episodes ago either. Young Jun really has a lot on his plate right now. Assam's loyalty is being questioned because of his relationship with Yanmi. He barely has any control over the Hop Way due to the peace deal made with Mai Ling in episode 5. His dad is mentally ill and suffering. The saying, "heavy is the head that wears the crown," has never been truer here before than it is now. Young Jun is feeling the heaviness of that crown as the leader of the Hop Way, both metaphorically and physically. I almost want to believe that Young Jun is paranoid of war happening and is ready to dice at any moment, but I think that moment will not truly come until Father Jun dies, and then I'm pretty sure that's where he's going to spiral out of control. Because now it seems like Young Jun truly has no one to trust except his father, even if he's mentally ill. And that was episode 7 of Warrior. Man, a lot of shit happened this episode. I don't really have anything else to add except that I truly can't wait to see how they wrap this season up. Because I believe that the season will end with the Chinese Exclusion Act being passed, and then it's going to put our characters at a standstill. Like, all the Hop Way and all the Long Z are they're not gonna fight against each other, but there's just gonna be a moment of silence and like, we gotta prepare for things to come. I feel like Warrior Season 3 could end the way that Dawn of the Planet of the Apes ended, where, you know, war or fighting is on the horizon, but, you know, Assam is gonna be there just waiting, looking at the camera, like how Caesar did, and just waiting for things to happen, and, you know, getting ready to scrap when things come to play. Other than that, hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to like, subscribe, all that good stuff so you never miss our breakdown. And stay itchy, my fellow onions.